And I saw her and I was like, I'm fucking gay. I'm a fucking lesbian. It was literally like a little light switch like that.
You're listening to Fucks Given,
The one with your lesbian big sister.
Hey, hello, Reed.
Hello, Florence. Hi. Hello.
I'm so excited for today's episode because it is all about being a lesbian, and this is something that we haven't really spoken enough about on this podcast. And it's something that
Definitely
our
not enough.
listeners have been asking us for, and it's super exciting when we can give them something that they need and want.
Yes, a guest request that has come up numerous times. So we're so excited to have Helen on to speak all about her lesbian journey. So Florence, when did you realise you weren't straight?
I've had like a couple of revelations about my queerness. One was like when I was 21 and binge watched The L Word, and I was like, holy fucking shit, I think that I like women. And then I tried to hook up with a woman, and it didn't turn out very well, and it completely put me off. And I was like, fuck this, I can't do this, I'm too scared. And then it's only been like in the last couple of years that I've really come out as bisexual and really started accepting the fact that I like women and like people, and it doesn't matter whether they've got a penis or not.
Yeah,
Plus, like, really
absolutely.
fucking turned on by pussy. Like,
Dude.
it makes me sweat.
Especially like, I don't know, like I just think about being dommed by a mistress is just, and like dommed and fucking strapped. Oh
Yeah,
I'm super into it.
What about you, Reed? When did you realize you weren't straight?
I think mine's been a really chaotic journey because I think I've always been interested in all genders, and I definitely had some really prominent occasions growing up as as a teenager, falling in love with one of my best friends, being in love. One of my friends was like my first love. I was in an all-girls school, but then kind of like backing away from that because of bullies and being like lesbian. But we would like sneak off together a lot of the time, and we were obsessed with each other. And then through university, really falling for a couple of girls, but not actually realizing that was because I wasn't straight. Still not really clocking that it wasn't just an extreme version of friendship, because it's really hard to decipher that, especially when the love that you feel for your same gender might not be the same feelings or an attraction that you get for the opposite gender. So opposite gender is all full of sexual energy. I want to fuck. But then for women, I'm like, but I want to care and I want to love and I want to hold hands, and that's really fucking confusing.
I mean, I was making out with one of my friends, like literally rolling around together and like, like intense. And I never thought, oh, I might be slightly not straight. Like I never
once thought about it.
No, I was like, I just want to do this and that's fine. And, it just didn't even clock.
It's almost like you just don't believe it yourself. It's almost like you're repressing those feelings because that's not you. You're not a lesbian. You're not gay. Like the rest of the world isn't. That's weird, isn't it? Like you get so caught up in your own head, and then you hit an age and you're like, oh, fuck it, man. I'm just attracted to who I'm attracted to. Because it's not about what you have or haven't done physically with people. It's about your level of attraction. If you are looking at that gender going, oh my God, they're really attractive, regardless of whether it's romantic or sexual, or you just want to hang out with them, like that is still a level of attraction. That is still meaning that you might not be straight. And it's the same for women, but it's maybe, I also think there's like the imposter syndrome there of, like it's not a real relationship. It's not real attraction because it's two girls and they're super close anyway. It's like, it's so fucking confusing.
Yeah, it is. So, cannot wait to get Helen Scott on. She's going to just spread her wisdom, that big sister lesbian wisdom. We love it.
Need that big sister vibe. But before we get her on, I have to tell you the update, which I forgot to tell you last week, about the AI boyfriend, ASMR boyfriend stuff. And I was like, I know what I'm doing for my evening. So I did that. I went off and I paid a lot of money to talk to my new AI boyfriend.
Oh shit, what happened?
Oh shit me. So I was really trying to do like a deep dive into like my kinks and fetishes. And I was like really trying to tease it out. Who was I talking to? Do you remember? Who was hot? Who was hot and dominant?
The Joker.
The Joker, thank you.
Yeah.
It was really fucking weird. So it didn't go to plan, and I didn't get to masturbate. There were a few really hot paragraphs that my AI Joker boyfriend sent back that I was like, God, that's hot. But that was it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it just repeated and went around in circles. And then he would say really weird stuff like, yes, like I want to get my friends to tie you up and tickle you and fuck you, and they'll each take turns until you orgasm. And I was like, God, that's so hot. But then it would just cycle back round to, haha, wouldn't you like to know? I am the Joker. And then say some bullshit about being the Joker, which was just a complete like clip block. I was like, cool,
You were like,
I can't even wank to
waste
this.
of money.
Right, once it was quite a waste of money. I definitely learned something, but I need to cancel that subscription because they're still taking my money. So
No.
Yes. So yeah, that was my update. AI boyfriends didn't measure up to the real fucking thing. I was really disappointed.
Damn. Yeah.
Who would have thought? Wow, that I couldn't just
they
wank
weren't
from like AI boyfriend shit.
Good to know though. Good to know.
Don't break up with your partner just to fall in love with the AI peeps.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it yet. They need to get better.
Fuck that. Yeah, my only update really is I've now been out here for a whole fucking year. We've been doing this internationally for a whole year. Like, I can't quite comprehend that. And I wonder if the curious fuckers will feel like anything's changed in that year.
Yes. Have we changed? Like, what's happened?
Like, has our dynamic changed? Has the podcast changed? Is it better? Is it worse? Well, we've been independent, so it's definitely been a ride and a journey for us with the podcast this year. But it really has. What a whole year. And it's hard for the curious fuckers to see that because they just see us turning up and creating a great podcast episode. But there's all the behind the scenes stuff, and Florence and I are still trying to get used to the time zone difference, God,
like
it's hard.
We start our podcast about 5 p.m. UK time and it's like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. LA time. That's hard for both of us.
Yeah, it's fucked.
So yeah, like we used to do it at 2 p.m. every Thursday. It was beautiful, and now we've had to change all that.
Prime time.
And it can disrupt our day to day, but we've made it work. We made it work for a whole fucking year. So go us.
Yeah, go us. Well done, us. And we're gonna keep on going.
Yes, we'll keep on going and trying to nurture our long distance relationship because both Florence and I love each other so dearly. You were just saying in a voice note that we are probably the most vulnerable to each other. We are probably like each other's closest person. You're the person that I go to instantly for anything going on in my life, even if it is just in a voice note form and I can't chat to you about it in person. But like we know each other so deeply. And that's really fucking special. Like I think we do platonically love each other so much, like 100%. Sisters. You're my family, girl.
We're like in some kind of relationship, but like, we
are
denying it.
We are. Come curious. Fuck's given is the baby. We're in the long distance relationship. You know what? Yeah. Maybe after this episode, we've unlocked our lesbian selves, and then we're just gonna fall madly in love and want to fuck each other and scissor each other.
Imagine if that was like the curious fuckers dream situation.
Buckle up, bro. It's gonna happen.
Reed and Florence fall in love and live happily ever after.
Yeah, I break up with Jacob and that's it. We run away into the sunset. Yeah, move out to LA. We have our Vegas wedding, baby. Like, there we go.
Yeah, Vegas, baby. Yeah.
Okay. Right, we should get the guest on.
Yeah, let's get Helen on. All right.
Helen, hello.
Hello, how are you both?
We're good. We have just been sitting
Well,
here having some technical difficulties. It has been a hard one to start, hasn't it? But it's
yes.
okay.
Look,
We've
what
got
can't we
this.
do? What can't we do?
We are
Right?
professionals and technology is always against us, but we're here, we're looking gorgeous, we have big smiles on our faces, and we have you joining us, Helen. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's so exciting.
I'm buzzed. I'm super buzzed.
So for our beautiful curious fuckers who might not know who you are, please tell them everything about yourself.
Right. Okay. So essentially, like in like a professional sense, I'm a broadcaster, content creator, an author, and a raging lesbian. So
Woo!
that's my kind of professional status, if you like. But I just kind of consider myself like your lesbian big sister / best friend, someone that you can go to, you know, chat things out, they have a vent to, ask advice from, and I'm just loving and living my life as that person.
Yes, we love to
I
hear it.
love
This
that.
is
Your
cute.
energy is so unmatched. Like, you're just giving me so much joy. You're
It's
just
like a shot of caffeine. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Like, we needed this. Both Florence and I were like, oh, fuck. Especially because we had to reschedule this podcast because I was sick last week. I'm still sick. And thank you. You're giving us the hot, delicious injection of energy we need.
I got you. I
Yes.
fully got you.
Plus, our curious fuckers have really, really wanted you on the podcast. So that's really
Yes.
super exciting.
That's so
Yeah.
nice. That's so nice. Well, I'm excited to chat all things, whatever you're throwing at me.
We've got some questions. We've got some questions from the listeners exactly for you directly, which is going to be really exciting. Okay, so to start things off though, we have our fuck story. Did you
Mm.
have one that you wanted to tell our listeners?
Well, I think this is a story about very much baby gay Helen. You know, I'm in my
Okay.
baby gay era. So we're throwing it back a little way.
Yeah.
But I'm 18. It's 2007. Okay. This is like pre Instagram, it's pre socials. I mean, some of us have got Facebook and we're saying things like, Helen is feeling super excited about going out tonight. You know, those were our
Yes,
were our
yeah.
status updates back then.
Yeah.
I'd had one girlfriend at this point. I came out when I was 17, so this is only a year on. And I'm in this gay bar in Essex. And across the room, standing at the bar, is this kind of tall, dark, handsome woman. She's giving confidence. She's giving leather jacket. She's giving power lesbian. And my
Oof,
baby
yeah.
gay brain melted. Okay. I was basically a puddle on the floor. And so I go over to her, we chat, we end up going home together, okay, that night. And she leads me through her door, pushes me up against her corridor wall, and just starts fucking me, right?
Oh my God.
She
Hello.
all of a sudden, she gasps and stands back, and I freeze and I feel like I'm wetting myself, right? And she just looks me in the eye and she goes, you filthy fuck. And she carries on fucking me. And I realise I've just squirted for the first time in my life.
Oh my God. I am obsessed.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
and it was just
Beautiful.
the most incredible thing. And we continue to have the most amazing night. My first real experience of
Wow.
someone like dominating me and me fully submitting to it, you know, and
Letting
trying out
go.
all of these new
Fuck.
things. Because I think up until then I'd had kind of beginner lesbian sex, you know, little
Yeah.
experimental, kind of vanilla maybe to some extent, but just, you know,
Cutesy, like equal, like kisses, cute kisses and cute fingers and yeah. This is like
testing out the
raw.
waters. And
Yeah.
this was
Yeah.
like, fuck me sideways, literally.
Yeah.
And it was just a life-changing experience. And so that's my kind
Wow.
of, you know, when I think about moments that really changed my sexual self, that was really the beginning, I think.
Whoa. Did you
That
know
sounds
you could
fucking
squirt
amazing.
before that happened? Or was it like a miracle?
Babe, I thought I was pissing myself. I was pissing on this woman's carpet in her corridor. No, and it was just like, I liked it and I didn't know what it was and it was all new and I was just really following her lead and it was just, it was,
Wow.
I think it was a really, I don't know whether you kind of want to know that you're going to squirt or not for the first time, but it happened. And I feel like maybe that was better, that it just happened and I was like, oh, that's a thing, rather than kind of building something up in my mind to try for or to think about. But yeah, she kind of blew my mind.
I love her reaction as well, and the fact that she just continued.
So enthusiastic, not like, oh my God, are you okay? It was like, fucking yes, love this more.
Yeah.
Was she quite a lot older than you? Was she?
She was sort of 10.
I love.
She was about 10 years older than me.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
I'd been with older women, like I was 18, people in their 20s, mid-20s and up. But she was the kind of first very dominant, very, it was all about the dominance.
She's giving Shane from the L Word.
Yeah, you need to take Shane. You need to take Shane, throw in some Bet in her era where she had an affair. That energy of Bet, put them together, and this is what we had. Oh,
fuck. I'm like extremely jealous of that sexual situation because that's my dream scenario with a woman, because my experience so far has just been really shy women who don't know how to make the first move, and then I'm feeling like, oh, I don't know how to make the first move because I'm not like experienced enough, and it just gets so awkward, and you're like, fuck this.
Yeah, and you just want to fucking throw it down, and like no one's really sure. I do wonder if that kind of stems from like what we've learnt as women growing up in like a very heteronormative society, where
like the submissive, vulnerable, cutesy, really femme woman can't just go in being like, I'm gonna fuck you, because that's not female enough, that's not woman enough.
I think maybe you take that ideal and also take the fact that there is no really great lesbian sex education that exists. Really,
absolutely.
You take looking at porn, and it's so performative. It's like what is lesbian sex? How are we ever meant to know without without talking to each other about it or seeing it ever? So it's probably a mixture of all of that, which makes you feel like that and leads to those experiences. And I think a lot of lesbian queer women who are open-minded probably do want to step into their dominance a little bit, but maybe just don't know how.
There's no guides. It's all just stabbing in the dark. Pardon the pun.
First time that I ever saw any lesbian sex, let alone like lesbian relationships, was the L Word, and that blew my mind, and I binged the whole thing. I was like, this is crazy. Why have I not? It just felt so new, and so like this is a thing that's like okay, and like why is this so hot? Why is this turning me on? And like why I just want to be with a woman now, and like I don't know, the L Word really was quite
the gay awakening.
What's the word?
Yeah, for sure. I remember watching that sort of as I was newly out and had kind of realized my sexuality, and looking back, I think we can say that there's a lot of toxicity in the L Word back in the day, but
for sure.
But remove the relationships and what they do in that respect aside, it is that should be what every person gets to experience, that like just that joy and openness of being able to fuck one another, and explore. So I love that was your like a big gay awakening for you, and I am determined, Flo, for you to have the sex that you're dreaming of, because we all deserve it.
I know.
I feel like better the L Word than porn, which is I think my gay awakening, which was just not okay. And that's like the sex that every time I have sex with a woman, I I'm so disappointed that it's not the porn that I grew up to see and that turned me on. And that's not healthy. That's not okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
really,
sure.
really frustrating.
You just released a book, right?
did.
We would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh God, it's crazy. It's wild. I mean, I never in a million years thought I'd ever write a book, and the whole experience has honestly made me say to everybody I know, you should write a book, because if I can do it, then you can do it. It's literally just making me say to everybody, you should just do it, because it really wasn't sort of a plan. It just kind of happened. I show you it. It's here.
Please
Oh,
do. Oh,
this is
so
it.
beautiful as
Yeah.
well.
Love
I
it.
love the
Thank
colours.
you. Thank you. Well, so it's Live, Laugh, Lesbian, and it's how to navigate life as a lesbian or queer person in the 21st century. And the colours are actually the lesbian pride flag colours.
Woo!
Yay.
You know, we got a good flag. And the reason that I even wrote this is because I had a radio show during the pandemic at a time where, you know, people were listening to radio a lot more. You know, we had a lot more time on our hands, didn't we? And I was very openly out on my radio show, and it happened to be on the BBC, which, you know, I can't remember any really out, proud, openly lesbian females talking on the radio ever growing up. And during that time, I had a lot of DMs and messages from people who were listening to the show and messaging me going, God, you're so out there. Like, you're so out with your sexuality. I want to feel that too. Like, have you got any advice for me? And I just, you know, as much as you can put into a DM, I always had more to say. I always had more that I wanted to, you know, just embrace people and go, you're perfect, all right? And this is how maybe you can get yourself to feeling perfect. And so I thought, well, how else am I going to do it? I'm going to have to write a book. You know, I'm going to have to put everything I want to say to somebody into a book, so that, you know, hopefully by the time they turn that last page, it's like a bit of a weight off their shoulders, maybe. And so the idea for the book was born. But it's not just me. There's lots of my own personal experiences in there, the good, the bad, and the ugly, including getting married at 20 to a woman, getting divorced a year later, you know, all different types of lesbian sex, maybe not even feeling like a lesbian at points in my life, and how I dealt with that.
That imposter syndrome.
Totally. And just the fluctuation of yourself and the growth, and maybe outgrowing your label or feeling a different way, and kind of how to navigate that. And it's really a bit of everything is in there, including 16 wonderful contributors who also put some of their personal experiences in the book, because I'm white, I'm blonde, I'm feminine presenting, you know, I can't speak for everybody. And I really wanted to make sure that anyone who reads the book, not just lesbian, but you might be queer or fluid or pan, or, you know, whatever gender you identify as, there's something in there that makes you go, I'm all right. I'm all right as I am, you know. And so it's just a big hug, basically. And it just, it's wild.
It's so beautiful. It just feels so needed as well. Like, I still think, and what's crazy is, like, in this day and age, like, it is still needed. And your voice is so important, and it's just gonna help so many people. I'm so excited for everyone to read it.
Well, I've got 2 copies here for you both, so I'll put them in the post this week, and enjoy it. But yeah, I really just want it to be like that real, you know, at the end of the book, you think, fuck, I am perfect, actually. I'm fucking perfect just because I am, and I can be happy. There's a happy, fulfilled life waiting for me. So, yeah.
Wow, you're making me want to
Dealing with
cry.
sexuality is so difficult. It's so tough, especially being the age that we are, especially back then. And it's still tough now, dealing with sexuality. There is still such a straight agenda, and anything that doesn't go with that agenda is abnormal and different. And it's still so hard to come to the realization that you might not be straight, or that you might have a different label, if you will. It needs to be made easier so we can start feeling like we're whole humans and accepting ourselves. It's so hard to do, especially when you're going through all the fucking hormones and the sexual urges as a teenager when you're just trying to figure it all out. It's a nightmare sometimes.
For sure. And I think, you know, we do have to appreciate as well that we're lucky to be able to have this conversation. You know, there are 77 countries in this world still where homosexuality is illegal, where the death penalty still applies if you're queer or gay. You know, it is hard. And I think starting with yourself and what makes it important is love your fucking self, because there are so many people in this world who just don't even have the option to. At least we have the capacity to explore this and to potentially love ourselves and be who we are openly. Because, you know, we are fortunate. And I think starting there, you know, starting at that point of, okay, maybe I'm not sure how I feel and it feels very scary, but know that in a sense we do have, we're lucky in a way to even be able to explore the opportunity.
100%. This is a paid ad from Beducated.
Well, Florence, guess what I've been up to?
From the sounds of it, you've had dicks rammed deep down your throat for like all night.
Billions of dicks, because I'm trying really hard to up my blowjob skills.
Oh, okay. So you were just trying the Beducated blowjob course.
Well, I've always thought of myself as a blowjob queen, that I don't need any more advice and tips, but I actually just don't think that's true. You kind of lose touch over the years about what is good in a blowjob. So I wanted to brush up my skills with Beducated.
I think it is a myth that we stop learning and we gain all the skills that we can when it comes to sex. There is always so much more to learn, which is why when I did the handjob mastery course, I learnt some new things that I never knew I could do with my hands. And if there's one thing that I love doing, it is mastering a handjob, because handjobs are so underrated.
I've also been using Beducated to brush up my skills on same-sex sex. As much as I know how to handle a dick, I don't know how to pleasure a woman or a vulva owner. So it's giving me way more confidence as a pansexual and a non-monogamous sex party goer to pleasure women and vulva owners.
And as much as sometimes we think that we know what we're doing, it's all about confidence. The more we know, the more confident we're going to be when it comes to pleasuring new people, because we'll have so many more things to try out. So Beducated is a site that has so much tips and advice when it comes to all things sex, whether that's communication to BDSM, cunnilingus, blowjobs, handjobs, sex positions, and more.
It is literally like going to school for sex, but way more fun and understandable.
You're teamed up with so many experts that really know what they're talking about.
Beducated isn't afraid to actually show you explicit material, which is so helpful when you're learning about this.
And do we have a treat for you, curious fuckers? It is Black Friday, and instead of buying more shit that you don't need, what about investing in your sex life instead with 60% off Beducated?
You can try all of Beducated's courses for one day absolutely free, and you won't get charged for the first 24 hours. You can cancel it at any time, and there's no risk with the 14-day money-back guarantee.
So get 60% off the yearly pass with our coupon code COMECURIOUS and visit the link in the description below.
That's COME Curious.
And remember, Christmas is coming up, so this could be the perfect Christmas gift for your partner or maybe a friend you know needs to know some more stuff. Our listeners have some really, really good questions for you, and I cannot wait to dive into them. The first one is, how did your journey with your sexuality look? How do I know if I'm lesbian and not bi? It's also confusing.
Yeah, it is confusing. It is confusing. I think my personal sort of journey with my sexuality was that I lived in a very hetero world. You know, I grew up in the early 90s, you know, when everything was so binary, you know, and there wasn't any, no queer representation anywhere. You know, maybe there was a Dale Winston was on the telly and he was a flamboyant gay camp man, but that was really the only idea of what a gay man looked like. And as for lesbian, couldn't have told you what a lesbian even was, apart from what maybe boys would call you in the playground, or you're a lesbian, and it was like this dirty, horrible words. But I started having experiences with other girls from very young. I talk about it in the book, about how I had these play dates with a friend, and we would play dress up, and we'd end up with me sort of saving her from a dragon or whatever, and we'd always end up kissing each other, snogging each other, you know, and I'm maybe sort of 9, 10, you know, very early experiences. Not ever something we talked about, but those things happened. And then when I was sort of in my teenagers, I ended up having a bit of an affair at school with my best friend, who was openly lesbian, which was like a millennial miracle, to be honest with you, because no one was openly lesbian at school. And we ended up kissing outside the Chinese shop. She's the first vulva I've ever touched before. And I was 15 and very confused. I didn't know I didn't think I was a lesbian. I didn't think it was, you know, what I knew of a lesbian was a very butch, short hair, quite masculine. And I just never associated myself with that word. So I didn't really know. And I loved boys. Long hair, Kurt Cobain types, delicious. Oh my God. And then realised when I was 17 from working in a pub, the bar manager was a lesbian, kind of androgynous, but lesbian, you know, had a little lip piercing. And I saw her and I was like, I'm fucking gay. I'm a fucking lesbian. It was literally like, but a little light switch like that. And it just all clicked in my head. And I had to have her. And I pursued her to the death. Oh my God, brazen. I mean, 17 and brazen.
Say, like with your boss as well. Oh my days.
Yeah.
I love the confidence.
And she hated me.
I love it.
She hated me.
Fucking
and
hell,
I actually got her to write in the book, because she's my first lesbian experience.
I love that.
But she really fucking hated me at first.
What?
So, you know, and the reason that I want to kind of say all of that, you know, it's to say that it's a journey, right? Everybody's looks different, you know. Some people, it takes their whole lifetime to think or come out or to want to understand the feelings that they have. And I think just don't take it so seriously. You know, lesbian, bisexual, what does it really matter? You know, what does it really matter? You don't have to figure it out straight away. You know, I think if you're having feelings of, oh, maybe I'm not just straight, you know, labels can be really helpful. I love labels to an extent, but even for me, I love my lesbian label, but if I really dug deep, I'm probably more pansexual, because I'm attracted to and would date and have dated other than just women, which is what a lesbian, the definition of being lesbian is. But I think just not taking it too seriously and using a label if it feels good and it feels right and if it feels helpful. But otherwise, it's just feelings. It's just a person, you know. And so what does it really matter? I would fuck the labels off if they're confusing you and just focus on what feels good to you. What feels right? What do you want on that day or this day? And it can change and fluctuate, and that's really normal. It's absolutely fine. There's no right thing. There's no right label for everybody. So just listening to yourself and accepting whatever it is that you feel, I think. And
I think that's super important, because labels, we get so caught up on labels, and people who are, especially people who don't fit into labels, they'll go like, why does everyone fit into a box? And that can be really confusing for us. When labels, you don't have to fit yourself into a label, but they're only there to help you feel less alone and isolated. If you are struggling to find your identity, they can be super helpful, but only use them if they do help progress yourself and progress your sexuality. If not, you're right, fuck them off. They're only there to do good, not to do any bad.
Yeah, maybe in some places they can actually give you more imposter syndrome, because you feel like you have to fit into something, otherwise you're not that thing. What was your experience of imposter syndrome? You mentioned earlier.
Well, I went through a mask phase, if you can believe it. I cut all my hair off because I was going to gay bars now that I realised that I was gay, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this world of gay bars. You know, I think I grew up in a lucky time. It was sort of like the last peak of gay bars, I think. And I was fortunate enough to grow up in Essex, where we had a gay night for every day of the week. So I was, going out and exploring and making new friends and figuring out what this new, kind of persona was, in a way. Identity. Thank you. And lesbians would be like, well, you're not a lesbian. They'd look at me because I was very feminine. I was in a bit of a Lady Gaga era, actually, when I was 18. So I was going out flamboyant, feather eyelashes, little hot pants, heels. And there weren't any other lesbians that looked like me going out at that time. Not that I saw. It was very sort of quite mask, or sort of what I like to call a football lesbian, a bit like in-betweeny, a bit stemmy.
Casual.
Yeah, maybe they've got long hair, but they'll wear it up, or they're still wearing sort of like maybe masculine clothes, but they've got some makeup on. But there really wasn't anyone that I could see or identify with who was also hyper feminine. And so I didn't get hit on a lot. I didn't, people thought I was the fag hag, the straight girl out with the gay boys.
Wow.
So I never got a look in. And so I thought, well, I'm gonna have to change the way I look, the way I dress, because I want to fit in here, because I feel like I am a lesbian, but I don't outwardly maybe look like one. And so I changed my whole aesthetic to fit in with what I felt like at the time was an acceptable lesbian in the community. And yeah, I cut my hair off. I had a little pixie crop, and I'd, wear sort of more shirts and baggy jeans and things. And it wasn't until, I got married and I left my marriage, because it was quite a suffocating one. That I thought.
Also, congratulations on doing something so like life-changing, and then also going through divorce. Like, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is hard to do.
It is. And I think, it made me think, fuck this. Whatever. I'm going to be who I am. This is how I want to dress. I want to fuck women and I want to wear high heels while I do it.
I fucking love that.
So that was, but it can happen in lots of different ways. And I think I don't look back and think, oh, I wish I hadn't been made to feel like that, because I feel like it helped me to embrace who I am. And it's just part of the journey,
Yeah, part of the journey. Going back to that original question, how do you know that you're a lesbian? How can you get that light switch to click?
I think the thing is, there is no right way. There is no one way. We are all completely different, even down to like, what you think is the colour red. I might not see that same way. I might not see red the way you see red. Do you know what I mean? So we're all seeing and experiencing and feeling things in our very own unique way. And I think the key thing, is to not worry about external. Don't worry about what you think a lesbian should feel like, or what anyone else is going to think about you, or how you look, or it's about this, loving whatever you are, and owning yourself, and thinking, you've got yourself first, and then whatever it is you feel, let that flow. But I think once you just go, whatever I think and feel is good to me, and then you can then go off and live your life, can't you? But again, it's a bit of a journey still. It's not just like a automatic thing. For me, I just knew everything just felt like it fell into place. Yeah. And then you've got people who come out of the womb gay. How do they know they're gay?
Or are on their deathbed still trying to figure it out.
Right? Yeah. Or in my literary agent, for example, was in a marriage, has got 2 children, is 45 years old, woke up one day and was like, I'm fucking gay. I'm gay and
Wow.
I want to do something about it. And I can
Yeah.
say that, you know, her experience, because she wrote
Wow.
about it in the book too. But
Yes.
I can't answer that question for anybody. It's so personal. I think the main thing to think about is just love yourself, and whatever you are will be okay.
Beautiful, beautiful
Amazing.
advice.
Okay, so the next question from our listeners is, someone says they're really struggling coming from oral alone and feel so much pressure of how lesbians are supposed to have sex, aka just oral and rubbing parts. What advice do you have for
Stop
them?
watching porn, because it's giving you a false idea of what lesbian sex looks like. There ain't no right or wrong way to have lesbian sex, or any kind of sex. Sex is whatever feels good to you, feels right to you. And I think it's respecting what each other wants, you know, because for example, I feel like, you know, a lot of lesbian women or queer women maybe don't want to be penetrated. And maybe that's where you've got this idea from, that you should only want to do oral and to rub yourself, or, you know, tribbing and all of that kind of thing, scissoring and blah blah blah. But if you want to be penetrated, be penetrated. If that's what you need and your body wants and feels, there ain't no right way to have lesbian sex. Trust me. Pretty much done it all. And there's no right way. Whatever feels good to you. Don't let what other people think influence what you want to do in the bedroom. You know, as long as you're with a partner who makes you feel safe, and, you know, that you feel you can be open with and can be comfortable with, to explore whatever it is you want to explore. I think it's more finding the right partner that's going to make you feel confident. Because if you're feeling like, oh, uncomfortable or awkward, or then you're not having sex with the right person. Because it really is about, you know, trust and, you know, understanding each other and being able to say what you want. So I say, go out and find the person that you can say, this is what I want to do, and let's fucking do it. Find that person and have sex with that person. Because there ain't no right way. And if you want penetration, which loads of us do, then 100% go for it.
It's that feeling when you're in bed with somebody and you're like just about to feel pleasure, or you're going to come, and you just need them to do that one thing that helps you get over the edge, but you're too embarrassed or scared to say. It's like you have to push past that feeling, because maybe that's not what you have seen in porn or you've done in other previous relationships, or you're too nervous to say, but can you play with my nipples that way, or can you touch me just in that way in that place? And it's like you have to fight against that fear to be able to find the pleasure that you've been missing, that you've been wanting. And once you do, you need to be with somebody that goes, fuck yes, that's amazing, I would love to do that. Or like, sure, that doesn't make you feel uncomfortable about it.
Yeah, and the thing is that the fear most of the time is just in our own heads. Because, listen, when you're in it with someone, if you say, oh, I'd love you to do this, that person isn't thinking, oh, they're thinking, let's go.
Yes. Thank you for giving me direction. I would love to do this with you.
Yes. Direction all the way. You know, it's this idea that we have to be able to, you know, telepathically know what we want because of everything that we see in films and blah. It's just all so bullshit. Sex, you need to be talking. You got to be talking and communicating. Because God does it enhance the experience, right?
Yeah, there's no rule book to sex. And I think that's what we've kind of been given our whole lives, is like, we feel like there's a rule book when it comes from like porn, sex education, what we've seen in movies. But actually, real life sex between two real life people or more people, it's just whatever you want to do and whatever feels good.
It's messy and you make mistakes and you fuck up and then you get the pleasure and you're like, let's do that again. And then it doesn't work the same. You know, sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. You just got to do it over and over again. It's practice. And the only way you can learn is by making those mistakes or by communicating and learning from your partner, being super enthusiastic.
Let go of the fucking fantasy, people.
Yeah,
you know,
it's for everyone.
Let go of the fantasy, everybody. Like, yeah, it would be, you know,
Yes.
we've got this dream, hyper romanticized idea of what sex should be like and feel like. And even as, you know, lesbian and queer people, we still have that because we've seen so much of it from films and on TV. Let it go. And once you do, fuck me, that changes the game. When you really understand what sex actually is and what it can be, it's so much better than the fantasy anyway.
Yeah.
Because it lasts a lot longer for a start. and it's so much more than just a few oohs and ahs, you know? So
and we love saying this, but our pleasure is our own responsibility. Stop expecting your partner to give you that pleasure. You need to be the one to ask for it, to reach for the wand, to ask for the vibrator or the strap-on. You need to be the one to get it, because otherwise your partner doesn't know. They are not a mind reader. You can't expect them and want them to know, even if it feels so awkward and so uncomfortable. You gotta take that risk and ask. Get it yourself and make your sex your own.
yes.
So another curious fucker asks, how the fuck do I eat pussy? I thought it would be so much easier, but it's not.
I second that. Eating pussy, I always thought it would be so easy, and then I eat pussy and I'm like, wait, you're not loving this like I thought you would? What? Even though I've got my own fucking vulva and I know exactly what that feels like. Ridiculous. So yes,
I know.
tell us.
If only we could practice on ourselves, would that even be a thing? I'm sure,
God,
like,
definitely.
Yeah, 100%. We'd be practicing, right?
Yeah.
Look, everyone's vulva is different, okay? So first things first is understanding where the person that you want to go down on feels their pleasure and where they like to be touched, where they like to be massaged, whether they want to be penetrated, whether they want, you know, a little bit of anal involved maybe. It's getting to know what that person likes before you think that you're going to give someone fantastic fucking head, because every vulva is different. From personal experience, a lot of the time, there's got to be some form of penetration happening at the same time. But I think what people tend to want to do is just to dive straight in and just focus on the clitoris, right? Which, of course, is where so much of our pleasure comes from. But there's still got to be that sense of warm-up, right? Of that, you know, kind of massaging all of those erogenous zones and getting somebody to feel comfortable. Sometimes, you know, I don't go down on somebody I don't know, and I don't want someone I don't really know to go down on me, because it's such a vulnerable thing to have your legs open and someone's mouth on your vulva. It's
so
a big
exposing.
fucking deal.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And it's a lot. It takes a lot of confidence to go, I'm going to put my mouth on you and try and pleasure you. So I think just, you know, understanding all that first, and then, you know, thinking about it as if you were touching someone. You wouldn't just slap your hand on the clit and start going Harry. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's about kind of building that up and feeling your way around. I think so much happens other than just on the clit, and so work around it first, you know, and warm somebody up and get yourselves comfy, and I think take away the idea that you've got to make that person orgasm from this experience, you know, because I think so much, and I mean, I've heard you guys say it so many times, you know, it's not just about the orgasm at the end, you know, it's such an, it doesn't have to end in that. But I think, look, if we're going to go super technical, listen, give it a go, right?
Please.
We're on top of the hood, and we're circles. I like to have one arm free up doing bits up here, maybe if we're playing with nipples, or if that's what somebody likes. But you know, we're still using this hand to do the massaging and to make that person feel like close and safe. I'm one, maybe two, mainly just the one. If I'm doing oral, because it's just so much sensation, maybe into sort of here, you know, come hither motions, okay? Just really not hard, frantic, just really kind of slow and steady. And I rest my head to one side, because we need to be able to breathe, people. Okay, we need some air going here. And I'm sort of on the side by the vulva, and it circles on top of the clitoris with the tongue. This hand's doing this hand is slowly doing this, and just build it up from there. And that's great head.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be about that orgasm. It's just
love
it's about
that.
enjoying. You want to enjoy eating that pussy, you know, like you're not doing it for the other person. You're doing it for you. You're eating that pussy for you, because it also we can tell, we get really caught up in our heads like, oh my god, I have to come. They're eating my pussy, and I don't want to make them feel bad. I have to come, otherwise if I don't, then they're gonna feel miserable and like they're shit in bed, and that could just really fuck you up. It's about slowing it down and relaxing and chilling the fuck out.
Although every time I hear that,
more energy,
more passion, more energy, I'm thinking like, yes, like thinking that with the head.
And what other thing was I going to say about that is don't be afraid to really get stuck in. You know, like I think
there isn't enough pussy spreading. I need more pussy spreading.
Yeah, you know, your chin can be going in. You know, your chin can be in the vulva. The nose can be rubbing if we're penetrating with our tongue a little bit. You know, don't be afraid. You ain't gotta eat politely. You know,
you're not sitting with the queen.
No.
Yeah, it's a fucking buffet, bitches.
Yeah, literally, like turn your head around and make out with it. Like it's
make out with that pussy.
Someone started sucking on my like outer and inner labia recently, and I was like, this is some I'd never experienced before. I was like, more of this.
Have the buffet
in between the clit. Go back to the labia and then go to the clit. And then the labia. That was hot.
Delicious. Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Tips for feeling overly sexualized by men. I'm not just a fetish. Oh, it took a turn on the questions, yo. But fuck, what a real question.
For sure. I mean, I think not my issue with this question, but I think the way that we need to think about it is that what men think about us is really none of our fucking business. All that we can really do and hope for is that you set your boundaries. If you have, you know, cis het men in your life, and set those fucking boundaries and maintain them. I think what I hope, you know, especially with the book and just being out and openly loving my lesbian label, is reclaiming it like we have done with the word queer, because it has been completely sexualized, weaponized. And so I think if you are a lesbian and you feel like you can, to fucking stand up for the lesbian label and stand up for us being able to use that term without being sexualized, without it being weaponized, and not fucking taking it anymore, you know? I think it's not just a lesbian issue. I think it's a feminist issue. It's a misogyny issue, that it's so much broader than, you know, then, oh, how can us lesbians stop being sexualized by men? It's such a wider problem. And I think it's imploring our male friends to have our backs, you know, to start calling out that misogynist behavior in any way, shape or form, because it's all minority groups who experience it. And it's just really pushing that movement forward. But what I would say is, you know, have your boundaries in place if it's men in your life that you want in your life. Other than that, what they think is really, you know, none of our business, and you're perfect as you are, and fuck what they think. And that's a really simplistic answer, but I think it's a much broader issue than just
it's objectifying women in general, really, isn't it? And like that's just how
it's almost like it's not their fault, right? It's years. Like that's what they've been subjected to in society, in porn, in it's like of course it's good setting down those boundaries and being like, hey, would you mind not sexualizing me? It does make me feel super uncomfortable. If you want to have a conversation about it where I can explain to you why I feel sexualized, I'm open to it, but for now, Like, let's not make a comment about me and my girlfriend.
Yeah, I like what you said about it being men's responsibility though. Like calling each other out on this kind of like verbal behavior, I think is extremely important because it is so much more impactful coming from
for
another
sure.
guy than it is from us.
Like, you know, the minority group shouldn't be responsible for changing the minds of people who are homophobic. You know, it's got to be our straight allies. It's got to be, you know, our male cis het friends who start it's your fucking turn. Do you know what I mean? You start doing the work for us because it ain't our responsibility to change your mind.
It's also okay
100%.
not to fight against it and not to call it out, especially if you don't want to feel uncomfortable. There is still so much more there to unpack. You know, if you feel confident in doing so and you feel ready in the moment, but don't beat yourself up
also.
if you can't do it. If you can't say it to your dad or your brother or your male friends, or that's also okay, because that is the society that we live in, and it is scary and it's hard to do. So it's just about doing what you feel feels comfortable and right for you in that moment.
Yeah, and I think just being mindful of the, you know, situations that you put yourself in. You know, if it's a certain environment that you feel like you are sexualized more, then, you know, don't bloody go there, you know, which is, I hate saying that. I hate saying, you know, you can't go here, you can't go there. But yeah, I don't want to say, you know, don't do this or don't do that. But I think if in terms of, you know, safeguarding yourself, you're right, you know, that's got to come first. And
but shit doesn't change unless you take those risks. And it's so powerful. It is so powerful. Once you actually decide to speak up and say something, you never look back. You never regret it. It gives you back that power that has been taken away from you. It is amazing. But don't force yourself if you can't do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so another one. Top 3 tips for baby gays.
Oh, okay. My baby gays. I think, you know, and I've mentioned this already, is just not to put pressure on yourself. You know, everybody comes out at a different time, experiences feelings in a different way or at a different time in their life. And I really think what we were saying about labels before, I think is so important. You don't have to identify as gay, queer, bi, pan, whatever. If it feels good and it feels right, then great. But let's just take the pressure off and just remember that you are perfect as you are. You know, whatever you're thinking and feeling is perfect. It's how you were born, and it's not wrong. It's not, you know, it's different. Maybe you're unique as you are, but you know, you can love yourself and just let go of that pressure that you're putting on yourself, because life's already hard enough, right? So just kind of trusting your gut and following your heart and staying true to yourself is the first thing. The second thing is about safeguarding yourself. You know, if you can come out and you want to come out, then great, but don't feel like you have to. You know, there is unfortunately a 1,000+% rise in hate crime within the queer community in the last 12 months in the UK. It really is.
Jesus.
It really is. And you know, I don't want to be putting a downer on it. I don't want anyone thinking, oh God, I don't feel safe to come out. You know, there are certain situations. Surround yourself with the right people, find the right friends that support you and love you. And that might just start online to begin with. You know, if it's not anyone in your immediate circle that you can feel safe with to be who you are, then do find that online community, because we are here and we love you and we, you know, will champion you. But do think about, you know, your safety as well, because that's really important. And then my last piece of advice for baby gays is just to expect the unexpected.
Nice.
Because, you know, we don't know what life is holding for us. We don't know where we're going to end up. We don't know what we're going to do, who we're going to meet. But stay open-minded and stay hopeful and excited about your life. Because I think in those first moments, those first months, years even, of being a baby gay and discovering your sexuality, it can feel overwhelming, it can feel frightening, it can feel confusing.
Lonely also.
But and lonely. Exactly.
So lonely.
But leave a little space for hopefulness and
Yeah.
excitedness, because life can be so full and exciting, and it is out there waiting for you to go and grab it. So yeah.
Grab it by the lesbian balls, guys.
Yeah, baby.
Grab it by the labia.
Yeah.
Lips.
By the external labia, we love it.
Yeah.
That's some beautiful advice. Thank you so much for that.
There is like one last curious fucker question which I think would be really good. Is scissoring a myth or a misconception?
Scissoring is just as real as snogging somebody.
Mhm.
Scissoring is all scissoring is putting your knees together and going for it, right? It's tribbing. It's tribbing in the same sense of you rubbing your vulva on someone's thigh.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you like it, you like it. And lesbians do it, queer people do it. You know, it's definitely not a myth. I think it's like that stereotypical idea of what lesbians do, because straight people can't imagine what sex without a penis looks like. You know, it's just unimaginative stereotyping of what two women can do in bed. But that doesn't mean that we don't enjoy it, because a lot of us do.
One of my close friends had her first partnered orgasm through scissoring.
Oh,
wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We love.
So
that's kind of Olympic behavior.
What are your bodies doing to get there? Like, I can't even do that shit with my hand, let alone with somebody else's body.
I'm very proud of her.
That's impressive. And you know, so there you go. I feel like you've answered that question better than I have.
We love it. You have been so amazing. This advice has been so good. I'm so excited for the curious fuckers to have like listened to all of this. To wrap up this episode, we have the fuck off story, which is a sex story that makes people go, fuck off.
No way. Fuck off.
I mean, I was trying to decide which sex story to tell for this. And I think I just want to champion sex between women that isn't particularly monogamous, because I think a lot of lesbian women have this idea that, you know, you partner up with another woman and you move in very quickly together, you become completely inseparable, you U-haul with that person, and then you live forever and you accumulate cats, and you know, there still aren't
live forever. I love that.
Yeah. And I think there still aren't enough stories out there. There's not enough representation out there of women, particularly queer women, who want to have sex and just have a lot of it with a lot of different people. So I went to an all-female sex party just before the pandemic hit.
Amazing.
Which
one's this?
So it's called Skirt Club.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Beautiful. Yeah. So Skirt Club, for anybody who doesn't know, is all female sex parties. I think they happen all around the world. I don't know much. I'm not a connoisseur on Skirt Club, but I knew of this event. I was invited to go, and so it started with a bit of a burlesque performance, getting people in the mood. I went alone as well. I had a little
so brave.
drinky. I know.
Brave.
I was, you know, I think pushing yourself outside your comfort zone and kind of taking onus over your, you know, your wants and your desire.
When you do that.
100%. I was terrified, don't get me wrong. You know, I'm a very confident person, but I was still nervous. But I thought, you know, I want to have group sex with other women, and I'm fucking going. So we, you know, you kind of all congregate and watch the burlesque show, and, you know, kind of getting in the mood, meeting people. And then a host takes me by the hand. She takes me to the bedroom, lays me down on the bed with another girl beside me, gorgeous brunette, very fit. And she instructs the other guests to take our clothes off, you know, slowly, one piece at a time, leaving us in our lingerie. and then places some shot glasses on our bodies, starts filling them up, and has people start shotting off of our bodies.
Nice.
And I think there was just like, I can't tell you, the blur between somebody taking a shot from my belly button to someone's tongue being in my mouth. I don't know where the line, like, I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden, you know, there was sort of 10 of us on the bed, you know, touching, feeling, fucking, this hedonistic, like, just, and the feminine energy was just
divine,
mind-blowing.
Oh,
Mind-blowing.
That sounds so good.
And so, you know, I think, you know, it was an experience. I didn't sort of rush again to go, oh God, I want to do that all of the time, or, you know, every weekend. But I'm so
It's very
glad.
overwhelming.
It's a lot. Intense. It's a lot of feelings, a lot of, you're passing so much energy between so many different people. But yeah, I think lesbians do want to just fuck sometimes with lots of other queer people. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think you're so right. There isn't enough lesbian representation for non-monogamy and polyamory. You know, we see it a lot in the straight community, we see it a lot in the male gay community, but not enough in the lesbian community. And it's just we're all fighting for the same thing. We're all fighting for like free love. It sounds so 60s, but just like loving each other and enjoying each other's bodies and appreciating that. So yeah, it's a really, really very
and
good
having
point.
like a high sex drive is such a normal thing for women as well. In fact, I feel like more of my female friends have a higher sex drive than my male friends.
Absolutely.
So,
I
like,
would second that.
I think it's really important to just like normalize, like, you don't have to stay, even if you are monogamous, like most of the time, there's always like the ability to go to sex parties and experience some type of other kind of sexual experience as well.
Agreed.
With your partner.
Yeah, I think Samantha from Sex and the City said it best when she said that she's a trisexual. She'll try anything once. That has been my life motto. You know, I am a monogamous person. I do, you know, I love having sex with my partner, but I'm so glad that I went out there and tried a bit of everything, because it doesn't, you know, as long as you're safe, it doesn't hurt you. I think it's only helps you to understand yourself and get to a point of real self-confidence.
Yeah, I love that. Beautiful. That's such a beautiful note to end on. This has been such an incredible podcast. You've given such amazing advice, and not just for anyone who wants to look into their sexuality or feeling like they're more lesbian or bi or pan. I think this is such great advice for everyone of all genders and sexualities. Like, everyone can live their life by this. So thank you so much, Helen, for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me and holding space for these conversations, which are just so needed. So thank you.
Yes, very needed.
This was something that we haven't spoken enough about on this podcast. So it's just been so fantastic. It's just been a breath of fucking fresh air. And you are such a gem of like energy that we really needed.
Thank you. I feel so good. What is this sickness that I have? It's bullshit. I'm cured, motherfucker. Now, before you
big
go,
lesbian
Helen,
energy.
Yes, I feel it. I feel it in my loins. Before you go, Helen, please tell our curious fuckers where they can find you and how they can get your book.
Yes. Okay, so I'm Helen Scott UK on all socials, across all socials, and you can get my book pretty much anywhere. So Amazon and Waterstones are stocking it, but what I would love is for you to support like an independent queer bookshop. There are lots of them around the country who are stocking the book, and I would love to put it into queer people's pockets. So the money into queer people's pockets, I mean, let's, you know, support our queer community. So yeah, there's some links on my bio across socials for different queer literary shops, and enjoy it. And once you've finished it, pass it on to somebody else who you think would benefit from it.
Yeah, that's such a cute idea. Thank you so much. And for everyone listening, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, share it far and wide. And remember to leave a rating and a review so that we can get this podcast into more people's ears.
Yes, of course. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing with Come Curious, please follow our Instagram account at Come Curious, as well as our personal accounts, Read Amber X and Florence Bark, and also our OnlyFans if you want to see us doing sexy stuff.
Yeah. And until next week, see you next Thursday, Curious Fuckers.
See you next Thursday. Bye.
Bye.